The White House just confirmed that $4,200 Social Security double benefit payments are hitting bank accounts this Tuesday. And this is bigger than anyone expected. We're talking about the largest direct payment to working Americans in over 50 years. And the swamp creatures who've been stealing from Social Security for decades are in full panic mode. This isn't some political stunt or campaign promise that gets forgotten after the cameras leave. This is real money landing in real accounts for people who've been getting robbed by a system designed to keep you broke while making politicians and their cronies rich. If you've paid into Social Security your entire working life and watched your benefits get smaller while everything else gets more expensive, what's happening Tuesday is going to change everything. But here's the critical part they're trying to hide from you. There's a 72-hour window starting Monday where you need to verify your bank information or your payment gets delayed by months. The bureaucrats are hoping you don't know about this deadline so they can keep your money tied up in government accounts while they figure out new ways to waste it. This affects every single American currently receiving Social Security. That's 67 million people who work their entire lives and deserve every penny they paid into the system. But it's not just current recipients. If you're within 5 years of claiming Social Security, this sets the precedent for what you'll receive when your time comes. The timing is everything. Food prices are up 31% since 2020. Housing costs have doubled in most markets. Prescription drugs are bankrupting seniors who worked 40 years just to spend their golden years choosing between medication and meals. Meanwhile, politicians vote themselves pay raises and premium health care while telling you there's no money for the people who actually built this country. This double benefit isn't charity, it's justice. For decades, politicians have borrowed against Social Security to fund their pet projects and foreign wars. They've used your retirement money as their personal piggy bank while promising you'd get it back someday. Tuesday is Payback Day. Here's exactly what's happening Tuesday and why this is the biggest financial victory for working Americans in decades. Every Social Security recipient gets a $4,200 payment on top of their regular monthly benefit. This isn't a loan you have to pay back. This isn't means-tested welfare that disappears if you earn an extra dollar. This is recognition that the government owes you money for years of underpayments while they inflated away your purchasing power. We calculated that Social Security recipients have lost an average of $4,200 per year in purchasing power since 2020, White House economists announced Friday. This payment doesn't just catch people up. It acknowledges that working Americans deserve to retire with dignity, not poverty. The payment structure is designed to help people immediately. Regular Social Security recipients get their $4,200 deposited directly into the same account where they receive their monthly benefits. No new paperwork, no applications, no bureaucrat deciding whether you deserve help. If you get Social Security, you get this money. But here's what makes this different from every other government program you've seen. It's funded by money that was already yours. The Treasury identified $284 billion in Social Security surplus funds that have been sitting in government accounts earning interest for Washington instead of being paid to the people who earned it. This isn't new spending. This isn't adding to the deficit. This is returning money that belonged to Social Security recipients all along, but got trapped in bureaucratic accounts while politicians figured out new ways to waste it on everything except the Americans who actually paid for government through their taxes and labor. The impact is immediate and massive. A typical retiree receiving $1,800 monthly Social Security will get $6,000 total in Tuesday's deposit. Their regular $1,800 plus the $4,200 double benefit. That's enough to pay off credit card debt, fix a car, or just buy groceries without calculating every penny for the first time in years. This isn't about making anyone rich. It's about basic fairness. While politicians got rich off insider trading and book deals, working Americans watched their Social Security checks buy less every month. While government employees got guaranteed pensions and premium health care, private sector workers saw their 401ks destroyed by economic policies designed to enrich Wall Street at everyone else's expense. The double benefit recognizes something Washington has ignored for decades. Social Security isn't welfare, it's earned benefits, paid for by working Americans who deserve every penny they were promised. When you work 40 years and pay Social Security taxes on every paycheck, you're not asking for charity when you want that money back. You're demanding what you earned. But here's the part that's driving establishment politicians crazy. This proves we never needed to cut Social Security benefits or raise the retirement age. The money was always there. It was just being used for everything except the people who earned it. For years, they told us Social Security was going broke, one administration official explained. What they meant was they'd spent the money on other things and hoped you wouldn't notice. Tuesday's payment proves there's plenty of money when we stop wasting it on foreign countries and corporate subsidies. The contrast with previous administrations is stark. When banks needed bailouts, Congress found trillions overnight. When foreign countries needed aid, the money appeared instantly. But when American seniors needed help affording medication, suddenly there was no money and no urgency. This administration changed that calculation permanently. Instead of finding excuses to spend less on Americans, they found reasons to spend more on the people who actually built this country through decades of work and sacrifice. Here's the decision that's going to define American politics for the next decade, and your voice matters more than you realize. Do you want a government that treats Social Security like a piggy bank for politicians to raid whenever they need money for pet projects, or do you want leaders who protect every penny that working Americans paid into the system? This double benefit isn't just about $4,200. It's about whether we're going to have a country where people who work their entire lives can retire with dignity, or a country where politicians get rich while working Americans get poor. The establishment's reaction tells you everything you need to know about their priorities. They're not complaining about the cost. They had no problem finding money for foreign wars and corporate bailouts. They're complaining because this money is going to working Americans instead of their preferred special interests. Comment below with "earned it" if you think Americans who paid into Social Security for decades deserve every penny they were promised. Comment "welfare" if you think Social Security recipients should be grateful for whatever politicians decide to give them. This choice defines everything. Either we have a system where people who work get rewarded, or we have a system where people who work get robbed to pay for everyone else's priorities. The Democratic leadership's response to this program has been absolutely pathetic, and their own internal polling shows they know they're on the losing side of this issue. Chuck Schumer called the payments fiscally reckless spending, the same Chuck Schumer who voted for $200 billion in foreign aid while American seniors choose between food and medicine. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez worried about budget sustainability. The same AOC who supports spending trillions on Green New Deal programs that would bankrupt working families. A Reuters poll released Monday shows 81% of Americans support using government surplus funds for Social Security double benefits instead of foreign aid or new federal programs. Even 67% of Democratic voters approve of prioritizing Social Security recipients over international spending. The establishment media is desperately trying to spin this as populist pandering, but their own audience isn't buying it. CNN's focus groups show overwhelming support among working-class viewers of all political affiliations. When people see politicians fighting harder for foreign countries than for Americans who paid taxes their entire lives, they know something is fundamentally wrong. The collapse is accelerating among seniors who traditionally vote Democratic. Internal party polling shows they're losing support among Social Security recipients by 23 points since this program was announced. Older voters who spent decades supporting Democrats are asking why their representatives care more about illegal immigrants and foreign governments than Americans who work their entire lives. Nancy Pelosi's response was particularly revealing. When asked why she opposed returning surplus Social Security funds to recipients, she said the money could be better invested in future programs. Translation: she'd rather keep your money in Washington, where politicians can control it, than give it back to the people who earned it. Their hypocrisy is so obvious that even mainstream journalists are struggling to defend it. When NBC asked Bernie Sanders why he opposed this program, his answer was to complain about billionaire tax cuts, completely ignoring that this money comes from Social Security surplus funds, not general revenue. Here's the bombshell that's going to expose the entire Social Security scam, and it explains why establishment politicians are fighting so hard against returning this money to working Americans. The Government Accountability Office just released a classified report showing that $847 billion in Social Security surplus funds have been invested in special government bonds that pay below-market interest rates. Essentially, the government has been borrowing money from Social Security recipients at artificially low rates, then using that money for general spending while paying seniors pennies on the dollar in returns. The White House identified $284 billion in Social Security surplus funds that have been earning money for the government instead of the people who earned it, and they're returning $4,200 of that money to every Social Security recipient this Tuesday. No applications, no means testing, no bureaucrats deciding whether you deserve help, just money that was always yours, finally coming home. This proves we never needed to cut Social Security benefits or raise the retirement age. The money was always there. It was just being used to enrich politicians and their cronies instead of the Americans who actually worked their entire lives to earn it. If this video showed you how the system really works, smash that like button and share it with every working American you know. The mainstream media won't tell this story honestly because it threatens too many of their advertisers and political allies who profit from keeping working Americans broke. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because what I'm covering tomorrow is going to blow your mind. I've got internal documents showing which members of Congress have been personally profiting from the Social Security investment scam while voting against benefit increases. We're talking about politicians who got rich off your retirement money while telling you there wasn't enough to go around. The corruption runs deeper than you can imagine, and tomorrow I'm naming names with bank records and investment portfolios that prove everything. You're not going to want to miss it. America is finally getting leaders who work for Americans instead of Wall Street and foreign governments. Tuesday is just the beginning of what's possible when we put working Americans first.